Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, we go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master while preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running Shadowdark by Arcane Library, written by Kelsey Dion, and I am running a campaign set in the Gloaming, which is the setting from Cursed Scroll 1, a Shadowdark zine published by Arcane Library. This work is made possible by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of awesome features, including tools to help you run your games, a bunch of exclusive adventures, a whole bunch of different products and things that you get to help you run your games, and you get access to the awesome Lazy DM community over on Discord, and you help me put on shows like this. And to the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your support. This next week, we are going to be launching the City of Arches Kickstarter. The City of Arches is a product that I have been working on for the past 2 years. Patrons of Sly Flourish have seen this thing growing over time into what is going to be a 160-page hardcover, full-color hardcover, and full-color PDF of a high fantasy city source book for lazy DMs. It is usable with pretty much any fantasy role-playing game, a little bit of a focus on 5e, but certainly you can easily modify this to fit any of your favorite fantasy role-playing games. It will be fully compatible with D&D 2014, D&D 2024, Level Up Advanced 5e, Tales of the Valiant, and more. Could you use it in Shadowdark? Absolutely. Absolutely, this fits in Shadowdark. In fact, I have a little section talking about how to make it more like a grim dark setting from the sort of high fantasy setting as the default. Please, if you would, go into the links in the show notes, look for the City of Arches, and click Notify Me on Launch. That way you will be notified when it goes live, and you can get access to the 42-page free preview for the City of Arches to show you what it's about, get you introduced to the city, and give you stuff that you can directly use at your table that very day. We have a full intro scenario that you can run for your group and a small adventure that can get you started. Plenty of stuff inside this preview to show you what the book is about, but also give you stuff that you can use at your table. And then hopefully you will back the City of Arches. I am super proud of it. People really like it. I really like it, and I think you're going to love it too. So please go to the Kickstarter, go to the link in the show notes, click on Notify Me on Launch, and be notified about the City of Arches Kickstarter, which will be coming out next Tuesday. In our last episode of Shadowdark, the characters decided to, I think I had a couple of different paths that they were going to take. I made a terrible mistake of not understanding where they were going to head to next, and I needed to do some prep of two different possible paths that they were going to take. Well, they ended up picking one, and they picked the Forgotten Temple of Mirinal. So Mirinal is one of the lost gods of the Gloaming. I can't remember if Mirinal is in the main Shadowdark book or in Lost. 2 of the 9 are lost to the ages, their name expunged from history and memory, yet their whispered legend lives on in ancient texts and forgotten places. I decided that Mirinal is one of these members of the Lost. And I have decided that Mirinal, and this is probably a good secret, Mirinal is a twin sister of Tagus. That would be a good secret. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start right off the bat by generating a new session planning template. Get my date here. And we're going to drop a secret right in, which is Mirinal is the twin sister of Tagus. Tagus is with an I. Traragnis. We're going to have to figure out why Mirinal became a member of the Lost and why Tagus is now known as a saint among all kinds of people. That's something we're going to figure out. So they went to the Temple of Mirinal. Let's see. Someone breaks in. So we had some people run into the room. Who did it end up being? I think it was orcs, and so they wanted to do a little bit more plundering of the ruins of Last Watch. Now that they had defeated the ruler of Last Watch, everybody's kind of grabbing stuff and running. And so the character's like, well, why would we want to do it? So they went back into the chamber of the wizard, of the evil wizard. And I think they found a couple of artifacts there, and there's some negotiation with orcs who also wanted to steal some stuff, and there was some tricky things that went on. And they dealt with that. I think did they fight a wyvern? I think maybe the wyvern burst in and it's like crawling around and eating people. And they were throwing bodies to the wyvern, like dead people at the wyvern and who was eating them. And then they kind of like ran away. Like, we don't want to fight a wyvern. Like, that sounds terrible. So they left. And then they made their way around the outer chambers and found this old, ruined temple, the Forgotten Temple of Miranol, which they know has a lift that connects it to a temple on the surface above. So that way they're like, well, that way we don't have to go necessarily run into the Knights of Mugdalblub who are out there hunting for us. We can use this secret exit to get back up to the surface. Now, I am playing a lot, or I finished it yesterday, a lot of the Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion to Elden Ring. So I've been stealing a lot of like Elden Ring sort of design ideas, like giant lifts that take you from the deep underground into the surface up above. And I think I'm going to like lean into that a little bit in today's session as well. Then I think their plan is they know that they have to go over to they have to go over to Haldren's Tower and get the Well of Worlds and then confront Mugdalblub. And this is like the scenes that we have here. And I think we could, so like how much do I want to do? How much more time do I want to spend on these in this campaign overall is a question. And like, examples could be like, how many more dungeons do I want to throw in them? Because like the dungeons are really the things that are going to take a lot of time. And the example is, should the Temple of Taragnus up above be another dungeon that they have to work their way out of? Like how simple do I want to make it? I could have the lift show up in just one big room and then they walk out the front door and then there they are. Or I could have it be like a deeper room in a big temple complex that they have to then navigate their way out of as well. Right, I'm not sure how I want to play that out. We'll have to think about that. So they got into the Temple of Miranol. They started navigating it. I don't remember. Did I write down? I don't think I did. I did. Yay. Oh, thank you, past Mike Shea. In a chamber in the Lost Temple of Miranol, Larid the wizard tried to stab an... Oh, God, that was so great. Oh, another huge death. So they're navigating through the Temple of Miranol. Got my Trapper Keeper, right? Like, cool. That's where I keep my game notes and stuff. Like, it's 1983 and I'm 14 years old, which is awesome. So this is the map, and this is my awesome annotations, carefully cartographied annotations. And the characters showed up here. They found some big statues. I can't remember if they had to fight anything on the outside, but they found a sacrilege chamber. I don't know what that is. But they basically found that there was a secret exit that the high priest who used to be operating in this place could use. They went through here, and all I wrote in this chamber here was otherworldly artifact. And the characters walked into the room, and it was basically like a giant chunk of alien rock sitting there. And so they tried to examine this giant rock. They were very curious about it. And they started off by like sending a small frog pet to go run on top. And the frog pet almost got electrocuted as like a bolt of weird eldritch energy arced off of the stone and tried to hit the poor frog. And then they threw a 10-foot pole at it, and the 10-foot pole exploded into splinters. And then the player playing Larid said, well, obviously we've disarmed it now. And his way, as though it was a trap, it wasn't a trap, but, what do they know? And he said, that's obviously disarmed now. And his way of ensuring or checking to see if it was disarmed was by taking the obsidian witch knife, which he is now holding, which is like another super powerful, weird alien artifact, leapt up and stabbed the alien rock with the knife. He exploded. He probably imploded as the rock shattered and became a rift to an alien world, a strange alien world, which is something we should probably articulate today. It's like, what's that alien world about? What's going on there? And so he's dead. The knife is now inside this other world. And as they're reaching out with like a pole to kind of grab the knife and bring it back, because they're like, we need that. Like that's one of the 3 artifacts we need in order to save the world. So they're like trying to get the artifact with like a big 10-foot pole. And then an alien hand reaches out and grabs the knife. And this weird, lanky alien assassin kind of like rises up just as, and actually the player who played Larid is not going to be there today. So he can, he's gone. We'll introduce him some other way. So now there's an alien assassin, like an alien hunter thing, who's holding the very artifact that they need and is curious about this other world on the other side. So that's our strong start today. Boy, it was fun. I was like, thank you to my friend who, where was I hearing about? We were talking about instigators. I was listening to something. I think it was Eldritch Lorecast. And yeah, it was Eldritch Lorecast, and it was my friend Sean Merwin who was talking about how important it is to have players who are instigators. Who's going to pull the lever, right? Like the DM wants somebody to pull the lever. Somebody needs to pull the lever. A lot of players are like, I'm not pulling that lever. I like my character. And then there's somebody like, I'll do it, right? And you always need the player who's willing to pull. My friend who was playing Laird was one of the ones who was willing to pull the lever. What's funny is I never even put Laird in as a character here. And Laird is dead. I have other characters. So now we have Squee instead of Morrigan. I should update this. Past Mike Shea should have updated this. Who's a kobold fighter? Or is he another kobold wizard? I think we got tons of wizards now. I think that it worked out that we have tons of wizards. So strong start is alien hunter wields the obsidian witch knife. That's fun, with a howling rift. To the world of what? I need an alien world name. Vodrune. The world of Vodrune. Vodrune has a swirling violet sky with big shapes floating within it. There are ancient ruins throughout and huge tentacles rising up. I think it had volcanoes, right? Volcanoes spewing noxious gas, ancient ruins, and huge tentacles rising up from fissures in the ground. Terrible. Did I roll that name? No, I just made it up. It sounded cool. Now, the hunter, I think, is an assassin. Monsters, assassins are level 8. Are there 2 of these? I think we might have 2 of them. 2 sounds fun. So, the alien assassins could be deadly. Then, so if we look at our map here, they're probably going to keep going. There's brother and sister art. So it's actually going to be art of the 2 sisters, right? We're going to see that Taragnus and Mirinal are twins. One of the questions is, why is Mirinal forgotten and Taragnus now is the hero? Would be an interesting thing. Then we have a Hall of Heroes. We have a treasury. We'll probably have a trapped door on the treasury. Then the Hall of Heroes. And then we have the Throne of the Forgotten. And the Throne of the Forgotten is where Mirinal currently is. And then right off from the Throne of the Forgotten is the lift that takes them up to the Temple of Taragnus. And I think, so one of the things that happened is the characters learned about the Forgotten. They found an artifact of the Forgotten god a while back and learned the name Mirinal, and they were told, or they knew the lore that like you should not speak the name of a dead god. Like, don't speak the name of a dead god. It's bad to think. And they're like, what name? Mirinal? We shouldn't say. What name should we not say? Was it Mirinal that we shouldn't say? I forget. Hey, have you guys heard about Mirinal? And then they asked about Mirinal at the town, and nobody was like, who the hell are you talking about? Except there was like a witch who was there. She's like, oh man, what did you do? And I think what they did is they brought Mirinal back. Right? So by speaking her name, it was just enough power to bring Mirinal back. And Mirinal doesn't understand what the hell happened. So Mirinal is going to be like an interesting NPC. Mirinal is an archangel that is going to be in the Throne of the Forgotten. She's a fallen angel, right? A fallen god, right? And she is very confused and hurt and doesn't know what's going on. And that is a dangerous situation. So the Archangel's on page 195. We'll just jot that down in our notes here. And I don't know how that's going to go. Like, I don't know if they're going to fight her. Like, and again, like, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, so I'm thinking about her like an Elden Ring boss, you know, Taragnus, forgive me, right? Like, kind of fun stuff. But I think they could certainly talk there. There's a lot of ways that this conversation could go. And all I have to do is kind of get my head around what's up with Mirinal so that when we're role-playing, she can decide what they're going to do. But some of that means I have to understand what exactly the hell happened. So I got a good strong start. So our characters are Squee, the kobold wizard, Irina, the elf warlock of Almazotz, Uralt, the former knight of St. Yidris, who is wearing armor of St. Taragnus, Dazder, the human witch frog shaman, and Calum, the elf wizard. Those are our five characters today. We have our strong start, which is alien hunters, who are alien assassins. I think we're going to throw 2 of them at them. That sounds right. It's 16. So we can combine, if we combine their total levels, I think they're about 6-ish. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30-ish. So 2 alien assassins, which were CR8, level 8, that should be fine. So, and even Mirinal is only 15. Does Mirinal have followers? I think it might be interesting. And maybe we'll do some like random table stuff. Does Mirinal herself, I think she's going to be pretty hard on her own, right? Yeah, she's going to be really hard. AC 18, 76 hit points, 3 flaming sword attacks, plus 10, 2d12. She's rough. I don't think she needs support. And I'm thinking like a 5e battle, which is a problem. But like, would she have support? I don't know. If she did, they would be what? So you get Seraphs, right? So we could have Seraphs if we wanted, like a couple of Seraphs. They're pretty low. And, Fallen Seraphs would be pretty good. So, yeah, so we've got that. And then they take the lift, right? Lift up to the lift to St. Taragnus. Do I want to have, let's go to my Dyson. Where's my Dyson maps? Dyson maps. Bang. Do I want to have a temple area for Taragnus, for the Temple of Taragnus? This one's kind of interesting. It's relatively short. I don't think I've run this one for them before. This could be fun. We will save this to our desktop. And I'm going to print a copy out. Whoops. It's not huge, right? So it's a few rooms. So it's like a thing to do. A thing to do when they're making their way out. So it's not like a huge dungeon. And maybe we'll do a little bit we'll see where we are and do a little bit of work at filling out. But I think we have some secrets that we got to cover. So why is Mirinal, did Mirinal and Taragnus, let's see. So Mirinal fought side by side against what? The tyranny of Memnon. Many millennia ago. What happened? Where would it go? Like, why did one become forgotten while the other became the saint? Is it sort of a history is written by the winners kind of situation? Was there an element of chaos versus law? That's always kind of fun. I kind of like it if it's not like it's good versus evil. And who embraced chaos? I think would be kind of fun. And would it be kind of interesting that it was Taragnus that was the baddie and managed to kind of take the mantle of being the saint in the end, blaming it on Mirinal, whose name was then washed away from the annals of history? Would be kind of interesting. That, that's one possibility. So like Mirinal, in order to fight back the devilish forces of Memnon, Taragnus released hordes of demons who devoured not only the devilish forces Memnon, but countless mortals as well. Taragnus then turned on Mirinal, blaming her sister for the demonic outbreak, had her cast out, and then took her divine forces to purge the demons from the Gloaming. The dark touch of demonkind on the Gloaming has forever cursed the lands, making it the grim target Mugdoblub and Almazats and others. Do we like that? It's not true till they learn it, but they might learn it pretty soon. Nobody's actually a follower of Saint Taragnus. And I think from like Saint Taragnus's thing is like, it was the only way, from Saint Taragnus's perspective, it was the only way to beat back the forces of Memnon. It was the only solution. And it required the sacrifice of one of the two twins. But Mirinal never agreed. Mirinal never agreed, though. She was betrayed by Tagus, who later became a saint. I mean, am I breaking canon here? Because like Saint Tagus in the Shadowdark, like if we ever go back, will players be like, oh, Saint Tagus, she's that evil one. Like it's probably okay. It says she's love. It's like long ago has embodied the righteousness and justice. I always like when righteousness and justice kind of underplays. Or righteousness and justice ends up leading to the dark side, like the paladin in the 13th Age. Because another way would be going with the straightforward, Mirinal was the one who made the hard choice, and Tagus is the one who cast her out. Like she was the one that summoned the demons to do it. And then once the demons did it, they both agreed to push demons out of the world, but it was tainted, and Tagus blamed Mirinal for it and had her wiped from the annals of history. So that way Tagus is not, is still the righteous one. It still fits within the righteous one. The Jaycock says, does it breaking canon matter? It's your game. It doesn't, except if I ever want to run the same game with the core gods for the same group, then I have now made this thing not true anymore. So I don't know that I want to take essentially a god and make them grim like that. So we'll change it slightly. The sisters released hordes of demons who devoured not only devilish forces, but countless mortals. Tagus and Memnon and Mirinal fought back the demonic outbreak, taking their divine forces to purge the demons from the Gloaming. Keeping the demons out completely required a sacrifice. Tagus turned on her sister. So she's still turning on her sister, cast her out, and removed her from the annals of history. She believes, so Mirinal never agreed, she believes she was betrayed by Tagus. Saint Tagus, believes the true sacrifice is sacrificing her own sister, her own twin sister. She's the one who had to make the terrible choice. So why was the sacrifice necessary? Why did one of the gods have to fall in order for, to kind of purge the demonic, the rise of demons out? Did it take her like celestial life essence to force them from the world? I don't know. So like, it could be that like one sister slew the other. So like Tagus could say like, look, if I kill like, let's say that there are these two celestial beings on the edge of godhood, and they know that their own death will the explosion of their celestial essence will purge demonkind from the world. And Tagus could say, well, I'll make the sacrifice and kill myself. But she knew that if she did that, her sister would be broken. Her sister would never, and she couldn't ask her sister to do it. So she thought that the best solution was kill her sister. And she would live with the guilt of having done so as a penance. I mean, that's kind of weird and twisted, isn't it? But it's like, I'm doing it. I will take the sin of murdering you to purge it, which is better than any of the other sins that could have occurred. I think that probably works. So if that's the case, what does Mirinal? So then Mirinal is gone, right? She was destroyed. Her essence removed from the annals of history. No worshipers, no things, just, lost temples deep underground is all that was left. What if Mirinal then returns? Her last memories are having been slain by her own sister. What is her motivation? What would she want? So she probably wants to return to divinity, right? She probably wants everyone to know the true history and betrayal of Saint Tagus. She could be convinced that it was correct, maybe, but that's going to be a hard thing to convince. She probably hates iconography of Tagus, which means that Geralt's in trouble because he's wearing Tagus armor. That's probably enough. I think that's enough to go on. So we have Mirinal, the fallen archangel. Are there any other NPCs? I don't think so. Fantastic. So now let's talk about this map here. So where is the lift? The lift is probably in this secret chamber in the upper left. So let's see. We're going to take that and move that to this other window. Boop. So that I can write out the locations in this map here. So we have the lift. We have the altar of Taragnus, which is that main room on the right-hand side. We have probably the hidden library, which is that smaller room in the upper right-hand side, right around here. And that's in the because it's all secret halls that are leading to there. We have the Hall of Heroes of Taragnus. We have so there are, what's that room off to the left there, off from the main hall, could be the open library, which has probably been ransacked at this point. We have on the right hand, I'm almost sure I've used this map before. I hope I haven't used it with this group. It's a great map. On the right hand side, we have the crypts of the high priests. And then we have a main, we have another hall of the statues, more statues of heroes, which is that curved hall that leads out to the exit. And then we have that chamber in the lower right. And that could be a statue of Taragnus. And is there any other? So that has like all the rooms, but is there anything more interesting we could put in some of these? Like some of these are pretty kind of boring. Do we want to have something else in that lower main chamber? We could have, the hidden library and artifact chamber. They love finding artifacts. Who doesn't want to find an artifact? So we have the crypts of the high priests. We have the halls of heroes. We have the open library, which is probably ransacked and filled with like Taragnus propaganda. The hidden library probably still speaks of the truth of Mirinal and Taragnus. I guess like the statue of Taragnus and the battle for the Gloaming. So it's like mosaics and, a big picture of like Taragnus. And then when they look at it, they're like, that's not Taragnus, that's Mirinal. Like, the false statue of Saint Taragnus and the battle for the Gloaming. I think that works for the exit, and then they'll come out on top. Where will they exit in the Gloaming? So let's look at our Gloaming map and take a look. So they went into the Vile Well in 1607. Let's take a look at 1205. Boot Hill. So Boot Hill is where they found Boot Hill is where the people were burned. 1403 is the mud pit. Oh, I think we did learn. So I think they knew that there's right. The temple sits right on the edge of the mud pit, which is where the swamp dragon Ixaden slithers in the dark morass. So it exits at 1403. The mud pit. And then they can make their way from the mud pit over to Haldoran's Tower. Get what they need at Haldoran's Tower, then head up to 702, which is Bittermold Keep, and then finish what's been going on. So I think that's pretty straight. I don't really need like monsters. We have Otherworldly. We have Mirinal, the fallen archangel. I don't need to do treasure because we're going to roll it. They haven't rolled really great treasure in a while, but they had a ton of it, so I think they're okay. And we had what were they called? The Fallen Seraphs. Any other NPCs or things like that we want to drop in here? We could have a priest of Taragnus who's in the temple. Might be fun. Let's go to our random names here. Actually, let's use the ones in Shadowdark. Why don't we? I think there's like an NPC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see. We'll get my dice. Oh, my chair is rolling off. Roll a d6 to see what kind of priest this is. It is 6. It is a human priest. And we roll a d20 and we get 10. 10 is Icam. Icam, the priest of Icam is a woman. Let's give her another name. Kiara Icam. I like that. I'm just grabbing a name from here. Or Jin Icam. Jin, no, either of those. Well, fine, we'll roll one. I'll decide. Let's see if it's better than Icam. Yao. Icam Yao. Sure. I kind of like Jin Icam. Of Saint Taragnus, priestess and caretaker of the temple of Taragnus. She's been there for years. She's kind of trapped there because the dragon's outside, and she knows like nobody really comes here because the dragon sort of took over the place, but she still maintains the thing. And the dragon doesn't seem to care. So now we got some other NPCs. One thing, drop NPCs in your dungeons. Don't just always have monsters. Have some people that they run into. So I think that looks pretty good. So is there anything, do I feel pretty good about this? I feel pretty good about this. I printed out my map so I can add the things onto it. So this is the map that I'm going to use to help me keep track of where things are going. Very straightforward, very simple map. And I don't think it'll take them very long to navigate through this. I'm not going to fill it with tons of monsters and traps and stuff like that. It might be fun to have a group that's sort of raiding the dungeon. Like there could be sort of dark fae. Maybe this is a secret, right? Dark and desperate fae creatures seek artifacts in the temple of Saint Taragnus to book passage to the realm of the fairy, to Titania's, to get the hell out of the Gloaming. That looks fun. So fantastic locations I now no longer need because I wrote it on my maps, and I want to keep that clean. So I think that is all we need today. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today while I prepped for my Shadowdark game. If you like this show and you want to help me out, there's a few things you can do. One is go check out the Kickstarter for the City of Arches. You can find a link. You can be notified on launch. You'll get an awesome preview for signing up once the Kickstarter goes live. And you can check out my latest book. That would be awesome. You can also become a patron of Sly Flourish. You can pick up any of my books at the Sly Flourish bookstore, and you can sign up for the Sly Flourish newsletter. All of the links for those are in the show notes below. Please check them out. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.